So here we are, Axis and Allies, Global 1940. Now I've only played this game, me and the boys, about 5 times, maybe 6. However, I used to play one of the original Axis and Allies from 1985, I think it came out. I used to go to the tournaments. I never won the tournaments, but I learned a lot. And before I started filming this one, I went online and I looked at a lot of videos on this game to see if I was missing some or if there were some tricks. And there are some tricks, but none that I need to use. I saw the Japanese player on videos attack on turn 1. They eliminate the ships here, the plane on Philippines, and they can even take out Pearl Harbor. But mostly they went for India. To me, does that win them the game in India? No. Does it allow them more freedom and movement and to open up in this area? Sure. I've never seen anybody in the videos even talk about trying to take 6 objectives on this side of the board. That would be India. Let's see where we're at. That would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then they would need one of Sydney or Honolulu. Or San Francisco, which would be the toughest. But never saw that happening. I saw people spending time on taking out China so they don't become a bothersome to them. I didn't see anybody go after Russia. They feel it's too much of a burden and resources. On the German side, I've seen the Germans attack Russia on turn 1. I don't do that. And Operation Sea Lion, which is pretty standard practice. And down here, it's pretty standard what you do down here. And I'm here to simplify this for you and tell you the grand strategy of what needs to be done. I learned it from playing the old Axis and Ally all those years. In the old Axis and Ally, the Germans and the Japanese went to crush Russia before the Allies could crush Berlin. It was simple as that. I play various Pacific games and I'm always combining the German and Japanese strategies. It makes no sense to me to have the Japanese have a different strategy than the Germans have. They can combine and beat up always on one common enemy, and it's Russia. And I don't care how many resources it takes over here. It will take me limited, or not limited, but it'll take me just as many resources here, maybe a little more, than it takes the Japanese person to take Calcutta. The quickest I saw it on the video was 4 turns. I believe the average is probably 5 and maybe even 6, but by 5 or 6 turns I can have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can have $7 from the Russians. And that's what this game is all about. It's about money. It's won and lost by the economics. Whoever has more money is going to win this game. There's no getting around it. So Russia's money, the Japanese are taking this back here while the Germans are taking it up there. You can have the Russians, instead of collecting 37 IPCs, they're collecting under 30, which is what you want. And the Japanese are a big part of that. You know, who cares if you lose this stuff down here and get it beat up in China? This is just a meat grinder. All you do is artrition here. That's all I do, is I just keep artritioning here. Doesn't matter. The money down here is these islands. The Japanese have to hold and take these, the South Pacific. That's just their money. They can't let anybody else take it from them. The main strategy is, number 1 is all about the money. 2, you take the Japanese and Germans and crush Moscow. Even take an operation, you know, or doing Operation Sea Lion and taking London does not necessarily win you the game. The Americans are building up right here, and they come in and take it back. Even that is not a winnable strategy. However, as the Germans, you can't neglect the British. They'll start getting too much money and running all over you. So you have to put the pressure on the British, and you have to act like you're going to invade it. And definitely invade it if they don't protect it right. You make the British be honest. So the Germans put all the pressure on the British. Why they fight the Russians. And then at some point in the game, and it's usually turn 5, it turns around. You stop going after the British, you defend in Europe, and you put everything you have toward Moscow. Because the Allies, by turn 5 or 6, should start getting the upper hand on you. The strategy is beat up on Russia. Always. There's just some things you have to do as the Japanese. It's take these islands, of course. Don't let anybody take them back from you. You have to take money from the British down here in Africa. You have to threaten London. And then you have to fight Russia. That's the bottom line. So all your planning and strategy should be to cover that. And that's what you'll see in this game. Now, when me and the boys were playing, we would divide up. There's 5 of us, so it would always be 2 on one side, 3 on the other. And we would win some, lose some. I won some, lose some. You know, because the boys are learning the game, and they got to understand there's just certain things you do in here in the game. And I'll show you. Counterattacking is very, very important in this game. Sometimes you let the other guy take something that's important, and then you counterattack and take it back. You just set things up like that. And the boys don't understand that yet, but they're learning. And they're getting better. So, what's going to happen here is, what I did, finally after a while, I said, look, I will give you each $100. I said this to the boys, if you can beat me as the Axis end. And of course, they went for it, and I beat them. Beat them pretty easily. I beat up the British so bad. And took Moscow. So, and what we're going to do here is do it again. I am going to bet them $100, give them another second try if they can stop me again. And they know I'm going after Moscow. That's just my strategy. It always has been, it always will be. There's nothing that anybody can do about it. I will crush the Russian force there if he tries to defend Amur. My opinion is do not. You pull the Russian forces back, you draw in the supply line of the Japanese, make it long, and then you put up a fight right here. That's just me. But if you want to put all the Russian forces on Amur, I will destroy it easy and then have a free walk. So the Russian player should not do that. He should fight me every step of the way and put up the big fight back. But they know I'm going after. There's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing you can do to stop the Germans from kicking in your door here. It all matters once the battle gets in a good 3-4 turns is what's happening, who's rolling better, and that'll decide what's happening in Moscow. And I put all my power against Moscow because in Moscow there's 3 victory cities. If I take all 3 of those and Egypt, I win the game. So why spend time fighting for one objective here or there when there's 3 right in Moscow? So that's why I go after it. The boys understand. They're a lot better of what they need to do. Don't lose London. Stuff like that. The Americans have to come in and save the day. They understand stuff like that. Now there is one video I saw, and I think it was from a guy that it was called General Hand Grenade. I liked his strategy of the British down here. Very good strategy. And the British player, the boy, the kid understands what to do, and he's going to try to run it, and we'll see how it runs. But I love the idea of having the British gather forces here. Who cares if you lose Egypt? Because once he gathers forces here, he can always come to aid India, he can always take Egypt back, and he can always help Russia. So I think it's a very good plan. I like it. He will execute it. Other than that, my strategy with the Germans and the Japanese will always be the same. put pressure on England, have the Japanese and the Germans take Moscow. Everything else down here is a sideshow. Hold on to my South Pacific Islands, the money, and everything in here is just a sideshow. I will just feed the meat grinder and attrition and attrition, and I will attrition away. And then just hold off the Americans. That's a Japanese job in a nutshell. So that is our introduction for the Global 1940. We will come back with the first turn.